Have you ever tried to solve a problem only to make it worse? Maybe you set an alarm to wake up early, but you kept hitting snooze and ended up even more tired. Or maybe you went on a strict diet only to binge later and gain more weight. Well, what if I told you that governments, businesses, and even entire societies have made the exact same mistake, but on a massive scale? Today, we're diving into the Cobra Effect, a fascinating phenomenon where well-meaning solutions backfire spectacularly. From bizarre historical disasters to modern-day policy failures, we'll uncover why good intentions aren't always enough. And most importantly, how to avoid falling into the same trap. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at problem solving the same way again. Our story begins in British-ruled India around the late 1800s. The streets of Delhi were overrun with venomous cobras, a serious public safety hazard. So the British government came up with a brilliant plan. They offered a cash reward for every dead cobra handed in. Simple, right? At first, it worked. People started killing cobras and collecting their rewards. The snake population dropped, or so it seemed. But then, something unexpected happened. Instead of reducing cobras, the number of dead snakes being turned in kept increasing. Why? Because people started breeding cobras just to kill them and claim the reward. When the government caught on and canceled the program, breeders released their now worthless snakes, leading to an even bigger cobra problem than before. This, my friends, is the Cobra Effect, when an attempted solution makes the problem worse. And it's not just about snakes. This happens everywhere. Picture this. It's 1902, Hanoi, Vietnam, and the streets are absolutely overrun with rats. We're talking rat parties, rat traffic jams, rats applying for jobs. The French colonial government was like, this is fine. Until it wasn't. So they came up with a genius plan to fix it, and somehow made it 100 times worse. Today, we're diving into one of history's most hilarious policy fails, the rat plague of Hanoi. Stick around, because this story has twists, turns, and a whole lot of rat tails. So why were there so many rats? Well, Hanoi was growing fast. Sewers, buildings, delicious trash everywhere. And rats were living their best lives. The French were like, Mon Dieu, this is unacceptable. So they did what any reasonable government would do. They paid people for every rat tail turned in. Wait, you want me to kill rats? And you'll pay me for just the tails? Yes, because obviously if you have the tail, you must have killed the rat, right? What could possibly go wrong? At first it worked. Dead rats everywhere. The French were patting themselves on the back like, ah oui, we are so smart. But then, people got creative. Some geniuses realized, wait, if they pay for tails, why kill the whole rat? So they started chopping off tails and releasing the rats, who, by the way, can grow their tails back. Others went full rat entrepreneurs, breeding rats just to harvest their tails. It was like a twisted version of Ratatouille the business model. Eventually, the French noticed something weird. More tails, same number of rats. They canceled the program, and guess what? All those farmed rats? Now homeless. So the rat population exploded. Congratulations, France. You just invented subscription-based rat. In 1932, Australia declared war on birds. Not just any birds. Emu. Giant, flightless, dinosaur-looking birds. And guess what? Australia lost. This is the story of the Great Emu War, a military campaign so ridiculous it's basically a Monty Python sketch. Today, we're uncovering how 20,000 emus outsmarted the Australian army with nothing but feathers and sheer audacity. This is a tale of hubris, machine guns, and birds who just didn't care. So why was Australia so mad at emus? Well, in the 1930s, West Australian farmers were struggling. The Great Depression hit hard, crops were failing, and then 20,000 emus showed up. These weren't just normal birds, they were 6-foot-tall, 100-pound eating machines. They destroyed crops, broke fences, and basically treated farms like an all-you-can-eat buffet. The farmers begged the government for help, and Australia's response? Send in the military. Because nothing says serious problem like machine guns versus birds. Enter Major G.P.W. Meredith and 2 soldiers armed with Lewis machine guns and 10,000 rounds of ammo. This was supposed to be a quick, decisive victory. Spoiler, it was not. Their first plan? Lure emus into a trap. They found a group near a dam, set up the guns, and waited. But emus don't follow rules. Instead of lining up neatly, they scattered in all directions. After thousands of bullets fired, the official report said minimal emu casualties. Translation: they missed. Next, they tried mobile warfare, mounting a machine gun on a truck and chasing emus. Bad idea. Emus can run 30 miles per hour, and the truck broke down constantly. After a week, they'd killed maybe 50 emus. Out of 20,000, the emus were winning. After a month of failure, the army gave up. Major Meredith admitted, if we had a division as tough as these emus, we could take on the world. The emus had won. The media roasted the military. One politician joked, we should have given the emus medals, they're better at guerrilla warfare than we are. Farmers begged for the army to return, but the government refused. No more wars against birds. Instead, they went back to bounty hunting, which, as we know from Vietnam, always works perfectly. Delhi has some of the worst traffic in the world. Cars, bikes, cows, you name it, it's stuck in a jam. So in 2016, the government came up with a brilliant plan to fix it. The odd-even car rule. Only odd-numbered cars on odd days, even on even days. Simple, right? Except it didn't work. In fact, it made things worse. This is the story of how a well-meaning traffic rule turned into a Cobra Effect disaster, where the solution created even more problems. Delhi's air was toxic, traffic was gridlocked, and people were losing their minds. Something had to be done, so the government said, let's just ban half the cars every day. The goal? Fewer cars equals less pollution plus smoother traffic? Sounds great on paper. But here's what actually happened. The second car loophole. Rich people just bought a second car. One odd, one even. Now instead of 1 car per family, Delhi had 2. Congrats, you just doubled the number of cars. The fake number plate trick. Some folks got creative. They'd tape over a digit or borrow a friend's license plate. Police caught a guy who turned his 8 into a 3 with white paint. The rise of Uber Plus. People who couldn't afford 2 cars just flooded Uber and Ola. Now instead of 1 car driving, you had 1 car driving to pick up another person. Genius? In 2002, the US government declared war on bad grades. Their weapon? The No Child Left Behind Act. A law so ambitious, it promised to make every kid in America above average. Spoiler alert, that's not how math works. Today, we're diving into how this well-meaning law turned into a Cobra Effect disaster, where the fix made schools teach to the test, cheat the system, and leave millions of kids behind. Buckle up, because this is the story of good intentions gone horribly wrong. The goal was simple: hold schools accountable. If students didn't pass standardized tests, schools would lose funding. Sounds fair, right? Wrong. Because here's the catch. The law demanded 100% of students be proficient by 2014. Not better. Not improving. 100%. That's like saying every McDonald's burger must be gourmet by next Tuesday. Schools stopped teaching critical thinking and just drilled test-taking skills. Kids knew how to fill in bubbles, but couldn't tell you why 2 + 2 = 4. Pushing out weak students. Some schools encouraged low-performing kids to stay home on test day or even drop out. After all, if they're not there, they can't drag down scores. Straight-up cheating appalled. In Atlanta, teachers erased wrong answers and filled in the right ones. The scandal was so big it became a true crime documentary. Even YouTube isn't immune. When the platform cracked down on controversial content to please advertisers, creators started avoiding important topics or gaming the system with clickbait. The result? Less meaningful content, more sensationalism. See the pattern? Incentives shape behavior, but not always the way we want. So why do smart solutions backfire? 3 big reasons. Unintended consequences. Solving problems is like punching an iceberg. You see the tip, but underneath, a mess of hidden incentives waiting to wreck your plan. Classic iceberg effect. Perverse incentives. A perverse incentive is when a reward backfires, like paying for a gym membership to get fit, but then never going because I already paid, so I'm basically healthy. In 2020, a company offered bonuses for fewer customer complaints. Guess what happened? Employees just stopped logging complaints. Problems solved. Ever tell yourself, I'll start my diet Monday while eating a whole pizza? That's your brain falling for the trap. Short-term thinking. Quick fixes feel satisfying until they blow up in your face. In the 1920s, Australia had a cane beetle problem. Their solution? Import poisonous toads to eat them. Now, Australia has 200 million toxic toads. Oops. Ever procrastinate by saying, I work better under pressure, then pull 3 all-nighters? That's not pressure, that's a time bomb. So, how do we fix problems without making them worse? Here's your anti-Cobra toolkit. Test small before going big. Before rolling out a huge policy, test it in a small group. Like trying a new recipe. You don't cook for 100 people before tasting it yourself. Align incentives properly. Reward the outcome, not just the action. Instead of paying per dead snake, pay for a verified reduction in snake bites. Think in systems. Ask, what else could happen? Will this create loopholes? Will people game the system? Pause and think. Have you ever experienced a Cobra Effect? Comment below. The Cobra Effect teaches us that good intentions aren't enough. Whether it's government policies, business strategies, or even personal goals, we have to think deeper, because the road to disaster is often paved with trying to help. If you enjoyed this deep dive, smash that like button. It tells YouTube to recommend videos like this. Stay curious, think critically, and remember, not all solutions are as simple as they seem. See you next time.